I fucking loved Halo. But I want to put key emphasis on that word loved because I no longer have that magical feeling that I had towards Halo. Like when I went to the Halo 3 midnight release and had the Master Chief helmet in my hands with my brother as we walked out. Yeah, no, I have none of that anymore. At least that was the case until about maybe a week or two ago. I ended up playing through the Master Chief collection, and my god, I don't think I've been this enraptured by a video game series in God knows how long. Look, there's just something magical about Halo. Whether it's the combat system or the lore or the characters within that lore, there's just something intriguing about Halo that always manages to bring me back every now and then. Yet one game in particular really didn't mesh well with me over the years, and that was Halo Reach. I did play a lot of Halo Reach. It's not like I didn't play it whatsoever. It's just that over time, as opinions of the game became more and more negative, I ended up thinking the same way. I let public perception indicate what my feelings would, and that's always a bad decision. I used to think Halo Reach was the game that pretty much killed Halo because of the fact that so many things that we hate about Halo now, such as sprint, abilities, and all this other loadout stuff, that all started in Halo Reach. But there's something about Halo Reach's campaign after going through it the last week or so that made me really go, wow, I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Here's the thing about Halo Reach. I don't think the story or the characters are actually that good. I'm not saying it's terrible, but overall, over the course of every single game that I played of the series, I would still rank it as number 1 being ODST, Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo Reach, Combat Evolved, Halo 4, and Halo 5. Now, Combat Evolved is only below Halo Reach because of the copy-pasted level design and bad checkpoint system. Let's be honest here, guys. As much as the game is amazing, it has a lot of problems. Halo Reach isn't good because of the characters or the story, it's because of the animation and direction. If you want to know why the animation improved a shit ton from Halo 3 to Halo Reach, it's because of the fact that in Halo 3, they had 8 animators and half of an engineer's time in order to make the animation cycles and different animation work for Halo 3. Halo Reach, on the other hand, had 16 animators, 2 full-time engineers, a technical designer, a producer, and a manager. The animation process for Halo Reach was much better than anything they had in the past, and that's why you see such a large jump between Halo 3 and ODST to Halo Reach in terms of animation. Not to mention the fact that they ended up using motion capture, which really did benefit them in the long run. Now, they didn't use motion capture for everything. They ended up using keyframe animation for a lot of the important scenes, but for the most part, a lot of moments that felt genuinely human are done by the motion capture. They had professional actors on stage, and they ended up giving a lot more humanity to the Spartans, which, funny enough, is what Halo 5 has a problem with. Going through it one more time made me realize how much shit was just put into this game in terms of how the characters interacted with one another and how you could tell who and what they did based on their body language. And that says a lot. Human beings are social creatures, and you can tell whether or not someone's comfortable in a situation by how they present themselves by their body language. I actually have a list of all the things that I took note of Halo Reach's animation and direction. I just want to go through and just really point out why these cinematics are so damn good, and bring up a comparison between Halo 5 Guardians, which also has a group of Spartans, compared to the Spartan 3s of Halo Reach, that really goes to show if the direction and the animation of your body language is not good, then my god, it's gonna look boring. In Word of Contingency, you can actually tell that George's head tilts up, so he has this little moment where he goes, oh shit, and then bam, elite attack. You wonder why Carter had to push Kat out of the way of the elite? It's because if you notice, her hands are like, oh god, what the heck, there's an elite here? She tries to unholster her weapon, and she does, but it's too late, so Carter instinctively pushes her out of the way. Kat actually diverts her attention from her work in 2 separate occasions. The first time is when George appears out of nowhere and just tells Emil that, like, yo, man, her dad just died. And she actually turns and looks like, that's not good. And when Carter tells him to both shut up, that's when she goes and actually pays attention and stops what she's doing. Now, these things that I'm saying may not seem like a big deal, but I want you to go look at this cutscene from Halo 5 where the members of the Infinity are just talking around and everyone's just standing with their hands at their side. And I'm here going, is no one gonna actually move like a real person? Is no one gonna have their hands folded? Is no one gonna lean on the table? Is no one gonna do anything whatsoever? The only person in Halo 5 that actually has a modicum of amount of just genuine body language is Roland, the ship's artificial intelligence. When the artificial intelligence has much more human characteristics than the human beings in that story, that fucking says a lot. So I'm just gonna go through some more stuff here. Kat notices Six and George entering the room where Halsey is during Oni's sword base. Kat's head tilts up with pride and a slight smile as Carter ends up telling Halsey that she could be thrown in the brig. After Six jumps off the tower at the end of the tip of the spear, he actually has this little sigh of relief, like, holy shit, I did not think that was gonna work. George has this little nod of approval after the Mac round is used in atmosphere, like, yeah, this is going well. And then, well, it doesn't go well because, you know, it gets shot the fuck down. When it gets shot down, Noble Six actually tightens his grip against the Falcon and moves his leg because of the shockwave that's about to come through. Not to mention Six going like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Looking out the Falcon. Again, these don't seem that impressive when you think about them in the course of what normal people would do. But then you compare it to cutscenes in Halo 5 where people are just... In Long Night of Solace, oh god, I love Long Night of Solace. As the Scarab is moving by, you can see Kat looking at it. Carter moves in to hear Kat's plan, and Kat moves in to explain it. Kat's head tilting down and moving to the side and her eyes diverting away when she's explaining the plan. You could tell Emil is this highly guarded dude because as soon as Kat starts moving towards his knife, he just immediately instinctively grabbed it like, yo, get the fuck away from my knife. That is my special knife. Six's head moves kind of like in a, that might just work. And then June ends up moving his head towards Noble Six in kind of an acknowledgement fashion. This one was really interesting. Kat actually looks at Noble Six well before she mentions the Saber program. Carter kind of has this, oh no, body language. He kind of moves up and kind of perks his body up. In New Alexandria, you can actually tell a lot about the personalities. June is relaxed, alone. He has his leg perched up against the ledge. Carter's against the wall, a little bit defeated. He knows that they're losing, but he really needs to put this perception of a leader up for the rest of the team. After June mentions that the Covenant are leaving the area, Emil just kind of has this moment where he starts moving his hand ready to move. Six, after Kat mentioned that there's a radiation flare, he starts to move back instinctively, like maybe we should go with Emil, like this ain't good. After the Covenant starts bombarding the area, Kat actually misses the elevator panel because of the bright flash, so her eyes are kind of messed up. Carter, after Kat's death, you could see after he provides covering fire that he just takes the moment to realize the shock of the event. You can see his body move back like in this defeated, horrified body language. In the package, as Carter is trying to get revised information from Dot, June leans against the wall just waiting for further information. And when Dot tells Carter it's been revised and that their location is no longer where they need to go, June kind of gives this head tilt of, no, that can't be right. Carter gives a look over to June and June just kind of shrugs like, I don't know, like why are you looking at me for? I wanted to really also mention the details of Halo 5. I was trying to go through the details of their body language and the animation. I really didn't find much. I really didn't. You can actually tell that Olympia Vale prefers to go straight into things as she jumps into the Phantom and she jumps over Elite. She has this acrobatic side to her, like in the mission where they're leaving Meridian and they're flying into the Pelican. Olympia actually jumps into the Pelican and then does another acrobatic jump into the Pelican seat. She would rather go over something than around something, and that actually happens during one of the cutscenes. She jumps over something while the rest are going around, and that's actually kind of nice. One thing that did annoy me was that Blue Team is really stoic in Halo 5. Now, somebody might say, well, that's because they're Spartan 2s. They're trained since childhood to be Spartans and soldiers, and Spartan 3s were taken at a young age as well and put pretty much through similar circumstances. They had much more humanity than Blue Team. You can actually see glimpses of this, like when they're leaving Argent Moon and Fred ends up giving Chief this little pat on the shoulder. I like that. It shows their friendship. There is no direction in Halo 5 that makes me think that these people are having genuine emotions. When Lasky, Palmer, Halsey, Roland, and Locke are all talking on the Infinity, why isn't anybody leaning on the table? Why isn't Palmer leaning on the table going, you know, this just might actually work? Or Locke is kind of in the corner with his hands folded. They're all just standing around with their hands at their sides. People don't do that. At the very least, Palmer would have her hands on her back. There's so much that could be done, but it doesn't do anything. And what's funny is that later on, when they meet the Arbiter does exactly that. They have this desk in the middle of the room, and the Arbiter puts his hands down and leans over it. How are the aliens and the AIs much more human than the actual humans? This makes no fucking sense. My whole thesis is that Halo Reach, while not a good game in terms of narrative and characterization, at least had a much more human approach to their animation, which made people fall in love with these characters. Somebody might go and say, well, you're looking too far into this. No, I'm not. This type of thing is what your brain is meant to look at. We can tell a lot about a person by how they carry themselves. Bungie knows this. I may hate Destiny now, but I can't deny that the animations during their cutscenes are spectacular. They have a lot to say about the characters that they represent. And I think the main thing that I just want to get across is that if you threw Halo Reach aside and said that the story is bad or that the characters have no depth, really go back and watch some of the cutscenes from Halo 5 and know that while technically more impressive in terms of graphical fidelity, their characters are never going to resonate with you because they don't move like people. And if they don't move like people, they're never going to affect you and make you think, I want to care about them. At least Noble Team did.